So it's been over 24 hours since we spoke about Donald Trump. You know him, remember? The former president of the United States. Well, apparently he's still out there somewhere, bumping his gums about this, that and the other. He's going on at the moment about being smart. And he's talking about how he knows somebody at MIT, and his uncle worked for MIT, and therefore that makes him very, very smart indeed. It's kind of the same sort of logic as a fly landing on a freshly laid turd and going, hey, I've got this lot to myself. Anyway, he's in Vegas. And he did this thing about, I kind of understand it. It's about boats, and it's about electric boats. And if you fall in the water, you get electrocuted. And he said he'd rather be, well, I'll let the great man explain it in his own divine way.
So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question.
And you just know there's going to be a corker coming.
And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy.
Whoa. Back up there. Are you saying sharks ask for identification before they attack?
He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand.
Well, you know what the answer there is. The sharks should read more. They should have an instruction manual provided to them.
A young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too. A lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question.
I mean, that's not a flattering thing. If a really clever person says, nobody's ever asked me that, that's not a flattering thing. That's kind of like somebody who asked me the other day, what's in cod liver oil? I've never been asked that before, and surprisingly, I didn't have an answer.
I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Now, firstly, this is a campaign rally for President of the United States, so you would expect him to lay out some policy ideas, maybe what direction he wants to take the country in, maybe some economic plans. But no, he's talking about whether he'd prefer to be electrocuted or eaten by sharks. Can somebody tell me what exactly is going on here?
But if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery and the water starts flooding in, I'm getting concerned.
Demonstrating a firm grip on reality there. If you're in a boat and your feet are wet, it's probably not a good sign.
But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree? I will take electrocution.
You know, if somebody would give me the money, I'll actually set that up. What we'll do is we'll get a nice boat with a big battery on it, and we'll get a load of man-eating sharks, and then we'll invite Donald Trump around, and then we'll just go at the hull with a claw hammer. And when he gets his feet wet and he looks around and thinks, oh no, man-eating sharks, or whatever the accent is that he's doing this week, we'll be able to see which he actually prefers, electrocution or man-eating sharks. Or will he just send somebody else like he usually does?
Tell him to make the microphone louder. It's terrible. Yeah. He just came up. Are the teleprompters not working, sir? Not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a shitty job. And that's a shitty job. That's a shitty job. You can't read a word.
Now, this is interesting. There are contractors all over New York who've worked on Donald Trump's projects and properties and not been paid. They've been made to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which means they can't even take him to court for the money because otherwise they'll be in breach of the non-disclosure agreement and be sued. He's quite a shifty operator, old Donny boy.
But you know what? It usually ends up that the speech is better. It's crazy. Then they'll say, oh, isn't it terrible? Trump takes advantage of his No, I take great. When I have a good contractor or a subcontractor, nobody gets paid faster. But when I have contractors that do this kind of work, you can have
Now,
them.
remember that in November. Remember that when you're casting your vote. Don't like shoddy workmanship. And then think back between 2016 and 2020 and remember the level and skill of workmanship that was in the administration of the White House.
How about that? Before I got up, the teleprompter fell down. That's great. Great going, fellas, back there. Then they want to know why I didn't pay the bill. You know, I get a lot of heat. I got a teleprompter that's gone. This one's almost gone.
Now, before anyone sits there and says,
Oh, you're only having a go at him because the contractors are rubbish and they didn't set it up properly. Oh, what do you expect?
what it actually is that he's having to hold these things in open-air areas like parks and recreation grounds because he's stiffed all these stadiums that he was in before. He never paid for them even when they worked. In Arizona, there's not one contractor or stadium which will take a Trump rally. And if you stiff the best contractors that you have, then you go down the ladder and eventually you end up with contractors who aren't all that good. Or contractors who have just got a chip on their shoulder and they think, right, we'll get our revenge on him now and make him look really stupid. But he couldn't look more stupid than he already does. Here he is talking about elections again.
But if you don't have fair elections, you don't. And you know what I add to it more and more? The fake news. They should be the police of our country because if they were legit, they don't, the biggest problem I have with them is the things they don't report. They barely, until recently, they would not talk about the borders. They wouldn't talk about the fact that our country is being destroyed at the borders. It's what they don't say that's a problem, and they don't say a lot. And what they do say is fake news. So other than that, I think they're fantastic. I'll move this over. Great job, fellas. Don't pay these suckers, please. Don't pay. Whoever the hell did that, son of a gun. These people. I think Joe Biden put them in. With your vote, we will throw out the Bidenomics and we will reinstate a thing called Maganomics.
Ah, yes, Maganomics. Let me see now. It's a theory of the economy where you collect the taxes from the working man and anyone earning under, say, $500,000 a year and keep it